Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Heidi Alaga. Pat is anchoring from downtown Tucson from St. Augustine Cathedral. Pat, you were there this morning for the funeral mass. How was it?
Yeah, it was like you'd expect, a little somber, but at times there were laughter amongst those who attended the funeral today. It's been a day-long remembrance and celebration of the life of Raúl Grijalva, the longtime congressman representing southern Arizona, passing away earlier this month after a long battle with cancer. Now, this morning here at St. Augustine Cathedral, the funeral mass for the late congressman, a sobering moment as an honor guard representing all branches of the military, escorting that urn containing the ashes of the late congressman. The urn draped with one of his bolo ties. Bishop Emeritus Gerald Kakanis leading the funeral mass, praising Grijalva for his dedication and service to his community.
For when you saw pain, you tried to soothe it. When you saw it hurt, you tried to care for it. Raúl, you have done your best to live, to give, and for that, we are grateful.
And the mass ending with a procession out of St. Augustine Cathedral and a final blessing of the urn holding the ashes by Bishop Kakanis before a private burial service for family and close friends. Joining me now, KGUN9's Craig Smith. Craig, you were watching all the dignitaries. It was a high-profile funeral, certainly.
Very much so. And, Raúl Grijalva made an awful lot of very strong impressions in his years here, and then he built upon that in his 22 years in Congress. Now, that's part of the reason 52 members of Congress came to his funeral. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was among them. She thanked Tucson for sending Grijalva to Congress.
During his decades of public service, Raúl was a champion for the people of Arizona and the community he loved.
If Pelosi is an example of the old guard in Democratic politics, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is an example of the aggressive new guard. She talked about how Raúl Grijalva worked to protect tribal and natural lands and how he inspired her and others to grow and lead. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs also spoke. She said Grijalva was driven by his love for Arizona and for our country as a whole and worked to never forget people who might otherwise be forgotten. Now, in some stories that you probably are never going to hear from dignitaries who came from Congress, Grijalva's 3 daughters described him as a fun-loving father, a practical joker, a fan of lucha libre, the Mexican wrestling, where wrestlers wear costumes and masks, and a fan of the Three Stooges.
Yeah, which is very funny. Also funny that they found that it was funny that on his Wikipedia page says he was a hiker when he was an environmentalist, but he was not necessarily a hiker.
They said it was a great mystery how that got in there.
Exactly right. So much more of this, Heidi, coming up at 6 o'clock. We'll go more in depth into a lot of what went on inside the funeral this morning, and of course we'll kind of wrap things up on the day coming up at 6 o'clock.